All right. Hello. I believe we should be live. Let's let things circle around for a bit. Make sure we in fact are. Hey, Stream Element sees we're live. Awesome. Oh, whoops. I forgot to change the go live notification on Twitch. That would be a bit annoying because I'm not piloting the robots. I'm editing the HFY stories. Silly me. There we go. Alright, that seems to be going, and of course it's not. Fresh. There we are, that's better. Right, pop out the activity feed, toss that over there, and let's make sure we actually are in fact live, which is always a nice thing to be able to do. Nice thing to confirm. Oh. Shoot. That's fine. But I guess I can do that now. We got, I should probably go do dailies first. But yeah, we'll get that resolved in a second. Besides, it's not like we got folks hanging out quite yet. Why is... Huh. Okay, something is wrong here. Odyssey thinks that we're not live yet. Actually, I may as well clean this space up a little bit. Grab the Rumble chat feed as well, and then we can toss my chat aggregator over to another desktop and not have it take up space. Yay! Oh yeah, there we go. Failed to connect to server. Let's retry the Odyssey connection. There it goes. Yay. That's not working. Why would Twitch ever decide that it's going to work without me coming in here and micromanaging it? That would be too much to ask for. Freedom Fiend, you're here now. I may proceed. Wonderful. Wonderful. All right, Freedom Fiend, we shall be proceeding momentarily. Just got to make sure things are actually working, because yeah, Twitch is deciding to be an idiot that doesn't recognize that we actually are live. And it's just like, herder, Stream Element says you're live, but I'm gonna pretend you aren't. It's like, yeah, thanks Twitch, but I would much appreciate it if you stopped pretending that I wasn't live and just accepted that I actually am alive. There we go. Anyway, Freedom Fiend, how goes? Hope everything's treating you well, life's good and all that. Let's see, there's that. Perfect. Let's go to x.com. Hashtag streaming myself, editing some HFY videos for this week. hop on in and keep me company. You're motoring. Motoring as in cruising through life, or motoring as in you're driving and listen to me while you drive? Because those are slightly different, with very different end results. It's good. Okay, so I guess we won't worry about doing daily missions quite now. We'll do that after the stream, since we have an audience. How amazing. And let's grab the YouTube link. And we can grab the Twitch link. Copy. Go ahead and drop that to X. And we can hop over to Deathworlders Bar and Grill. But editing it now. Boom. The kind of modem where he asked me what my price for flight is. Okay. I'm not entirely sure what that means. Got that done. Get that out of the way. All right. Let me just pull up a few remaining things and we should be good. For, you know, finding Mr. Right. Well, I'm in the market for a Mrs. Right, and I've been chatting with a lovely lady recently. We'll see how that goes. Wish me luck. Okay, and now it's Kick that we need to fix. Not that we ever get any interaction on Kick aside from spammers and one dude. It was totally cool, gotta say, but yeah. Get that out, get that out. Yeah, we're good. Sister Christian, have you heard the news? That can be closed, take up less space on our, Wait, never mind, I'm getting the lyrics wrong. I just went straight to Space Marine voice when you did it in caps lock. Okay. Not sure why that thing wasn't working. Yeah, I got the Zoot Zoot song stuck in my head right now. It's a song by Night Rangers called Motoring. Ah, okay. Haven't heard of it. That would explain why I wasn't getting your references. Explains why I wasn't picking up what you were throwing down. For theology. All right, I think I got one last thing to check, and then we can go straight into the straight into the stream and get to work on editing. Got a little goat milk kefir to keep me company. There we go. Let's get everything there closed. Pull up shotcut. Encourage me to look it up. You know what? Fine, here. Motoring by Night Rangers. Motoring Night Ranger. Okay. Sister Christian. Ah, okay. That continues to explain more things. Let me mute. It's probably going to be this one so that we won't be getting copyrighted audio. Nope. Wrong one. This one. There we go. The intro's good. I'm liking it. It is good. Put it in a little window. Maybe it won't get copyright caught. You have to imagine it. Sorry. Every site is doing the same thing I got. I just muted the desktop audio so it's not going to stream. But yeah, it's so... I think I like the comment here. Nostalgia this song brings up is borderline painful. Worst part about having lived through the 80s is how much you miss it now. All right, well, I gotta say that was a really good song. Thank you for the recommendation. Now, to work, to work, because sadly, let's unmute that. Pull up Hubble Galaxy once again for a quick moment. Don't ever question your taste in music again. I don't think I was questioning your music. Questioning your tastes. But yeah, let's just say we are very much not in a good position. So, we have essentially one of tomorrow's videos ready, and that's it. And that's for the gaming channel. We got SD Gundam G Generation Eternal recorded for tomorrow. I have nothing. Well, okay, actually, let's go ahead and be OCD like we should be. The color should be yellow because we have recorded but have not edited. Creature, was it 29? 28. Creature 28 for tomorrow, yellow since it's recorded. Troublemakers 70 and 71, yes. Makers 70 through 71. A little. And Ceci, you know what? I'm just calling Stop Worrying. Love the trope. Friday's recording is stupidly silly. Only joking. Glad you enjoyed the song. Well, thank you. I will counter with Richie Kotzen's The Winner, or Richie Kotzen, or however it's supposed to be pronounced. Kotzen. Kotzen. Yeah, I think so. The Winner. Really enjoy that song. Right. F. Rich. 1728. Crosshatch. Center. Text. I have no idea what I just did. $30. Black gray. Full justification. Charcoal. Oh. Oh, and of course I've typed some numbers, so here, 1, 2, 3. Boom. It's better. That was a mistake. Did not want to type stuff there. Get Hubble back up for a second and clear that notification on Discord. Go. Goodbye, Hubble. And off to work we go. Hi ho, hi ho. It's off to work we go. Bum 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 bum. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho, hi ho. And we are not gonna fit 2 paragraphs. Well, that's an interesting way of opening up the first one. 500. 400. Perfect. Vincent stood at the exit with a slow, steady breath as he prepared himself for what might be on the other side. In his mind, this all seemed like a setup by the new Supreme Council chair for some sort of ambush. But at the same time, if he burst out there with his magnum at the ready, and he was wrong, there was a chance he'd completely ruin the new trust he'd gained. He decided to keep the magnum holstered then, and opened the door to the main estate. The hall was empty. He glanced around for a moment, then stepped out. the door into the prison closing behind him. So far, no ambush. So ambush. He walked down the hall towards the larger common room that seemed to be the focal point of the estate. As he got closer, he could see the lighting was a bit dim, and his hand itched to grab his magnum. But dim lights didn't have to mean some sort of ambush. Hopefully. He stepped into the room and looked around for a moment, ready to fight any of the wardens who might lay in wait. But instead, he found Kuina sitting on one of the lounge chairs arranged around the coffee table. Well, not coffee. Same idea. She was wearing some sort of red and white dress. Had she been wearing that earlier? No, definitely not. It seemed to be designed to accent the red and white kabuki makeup the Xeno wore on her stony face. When she saw him, she smiled and waved him to the seat next to her. There were 2 drinks on a tray on the table. So that was it. He nodded slowly. Poison. Slowly. Poison. He'd play along for now. Alright. As the orc peons say, work, work. Hey, Mystic Blade Works, hello! Poison. Play along for now. As he walked into the room and took a seat, he realized there was some sort of music playing quietly in the background. It didn't hurt his ears, which was rather nice. It seemed like some sort of jazz, or maybe blues, but just instrumental. Music that doesn't give me a headache. How nice. He commented and nodded at Kuina. He better call her Vera, though, so he didn't reveal that he'd figured out her plan. She smiled at that and nodded. I had to do some analysis of your audible range, but they seem to fit within it nicely. It lacks some of the higher ranges, but it's still very pleasant. He nodded in response and then motioned a hand at the 2 drinks before them. And is 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. It's 50. Yeah, you up to anything interesting, Mystic Blade Works? Response and the 2 drinks before them. And these? Since your diet matches that of the dragons, I had a great deal of selection available to me. What I chose has a mix of distilled grain alcohol, juice of the bloody nikwa fruit, and powdered yerba flower. The name of the fruit is just because of the appearance. It's not really bloody. She laughed a little. So, which one is mine? He asked as he looked at the reddish drink. Neither. I made them both the same. So she poisoned both and had an antidote on hand. Or perhaps already in her system? She was clever about this. Vincent shrugged and picked up the drink closest to him. He was about to drink when he saw her lift her own in a toast. To new friendships and minded thinking. Here's a fun fact. Whistling indoors is considered very bad luck in Russia. So the Russian translation of Snow White was very difficult. Hi-ho and whistle while you work are both in that movie. Interesting. Interesting. Nothing of note? Alright, well. That's nice. Was that an important notification? It was not an important notification. We can safely ignore that. Now, randomly jump scared there, apparently. Was it from turning away and then... Okay, I guess from turning away and turning back made it do that? Could go 2 paragraphs, probably. Yeah. 750. A little big, but... Thinking. Vincent raised his own glass to that and added, "To new drinks and no hangover," which made the Irvesh woman laugh a little as she went to sip her drink. When he took a sip of his own, he found it to be quite pleasant. It was like blood orange juice with some sort of spice or kick to it. Ginger? Well, not ginger, but something that tasted similar. Then he felt the burn as he swallowed and had to resist the urge to cough. There was the grain alcohol. He arched his eyebrows and moved to set the glass back down. When he noticed that Vera was downing her entire drink. Not wanting to be outdone, he quickly kicked his head back and finished his own drink. She likely wanted to make sure he got enough of whatever the poison was in his system, but he still wanted to keep up appearances. He was just a clone, after all. Ah, such a nice drink, don't you agree?
She examined her glass, empty, aside from a bit of fruit pulp stuck to the sides. Then she rose and collected his glass from his hand, as she walked to the bar alongside of the room.
To your liking, or should I prepare something else? I think we can squeeze 3 paragraphs in. Boom. And where's my cursor? There it is. Hey, and it fits in exactly the same size text box.
It's kind of funny to have a fruit with a very similar name on my home. Similar taste as well, or I think it is. If you're making them, I'll certainly have another. You heard her laugh from the bar.
And that definitely adds more to the theory that this is on Earth in the future, which is still what I'm thinking. Or on Mars, but in the solar system in the future. I think he's been shipped off to the distant future.
If you're making them, I'll certainly have another. You heard her laugh from the bar. I might be the most powerful Yurvesh in the Union at the moment, with a very accomplished work record and a great many skills. But making drinks is not one of them. It's just a selection off the bar's automated menu. If I tried to make these by hand, I highly doubt they'd come out so nice. He turned around then, and watched her retrieve the 2 new drinks from the bar, and head straight back towards him with them. She didn't have time to slip anything into the drink. And either the house computer was in on it, which he doubted, or she just spiked the first round. He felt all right. Perhaps it was slow acting. She handed him the new drink and nodded. As she sat back down, he took a smaller sip.
It's just the same. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if we can squeeze 5 in. That looks like a no. Let's get rid of that last paragraph. Drop that to 700. Back there, and so we're just there. Just the same.
The bar certainly saw a lot of use with Latero. She sounded a bit sad as she mentioned that. He managed to keep his behavior in check for work purposes, but I fear his liver might have given out in another few years, even if he hadn't been assassinated. So you do believe it was an assassination? Vincent asked. Yes, as mentioned, the method is similar to a sort of ritualistic suicide some Yurvesh commit, but I knew him better than that. That's right. The dishwasher had a glass with your prints on it from a few days before all that happened. The rest were just his. The 2 of you close? Maybe he'd be able to find out some details before she unleashed whatever sort of attack was. Details before sort of attack was waiting. We were, surprisingly. She said with a nod and took a sip of her own drink. It's unusual for that to happen among my kind, however. What? For 2 council chairs to become friends? He asked, surprised at the thought. What? No, he was my father. This comment made him even more surprised, and it must have shown because she nodded. You probably aren't familiar with our people. To best eliminate any sort of hereditary favor for our young, and ensure equal footing, children are raised communally, and are very rarely aware of their biological parents. I'm a bit of an exception, since my parents were chosen for that experiment I mentioned. Oh, how do you choose names then?
Yeah, Mystic, you been listening along to any of Memories of Creature 88 up to now, or just hopping into these streams when I fire them up sometimes? Their purposes. How many? And that looks like 100 to drop. Yes. Lines.
Howdy then. We assigned one, and that becomes our natural name. Coyina, Litero, Cavazor, these are all accepted and appropriate names for our species. Then we choose a private name, such as Vera. How many names are there to choose from? Wouldn't there be lots of repeats? She shook her head. Not too many. There are several thousand names to be picked from, and in general, since classes are named all at once, you don't have much conflict between strata. Most will test into patrol or military service, where core clusters are kept together for camaraderie purposes. Vincent took a sip of his drink. A lot of that flew right past my head, but I think I get the idea. Yeah, you raise them all up communally, and everyone in the same age group basically avoids repeat names. Kind of simple, and then you keep them around so you don't even get people from other groups. Or other Yurvesh from other groups, and yeah. It all works out to avoid too many repeat names. it. I get the idea. Vera laughed and smiled at that. I must say, it's nice to spend some time with the illustrious Shade in a more relaxed environment. When you were first brought to patrol, we assumed you'd be more of an oddity. Your ability to die in return would be useful, but that was all we really expected. You surprised everyone with your capability and your insight into criminal behavior. When you were first brought to patrol, we assumed you'd be more of an oddity. Your ability to die in return would be useful, but that was all we... You surprised everyone with your capability and your insight into criminal behavior, myself included, and I normally pride myself on my ability to analyze new resources. Well, I'm still an oddity, just a more useful one, Vincent said with a shrug. So, why feel the need to get much more open with me? Surely there was a time before you became council chair.
Take that up to 600. Everybody gets a pure assigned nickname in middle school. Pray you don't do anything to embarrass yourself. A. These are nicknames, not call signs. If they were call signs, everybody's nickname is, everybody's call sign is embarrassing. That's the, that's one of the fun things you learn. It's like, yeah, nobody gets names. Nobody gets a cool name like Maverick or Iceman. It's your call sign is something embarrassing you did.
Surely there was a time council chair. She nodded. Time, yes. Opportunity, no. You're still rather anathema to my...
You're gonna get that 50 added. It's so annoying that this, Oh. No. It's 4A. No, that's not another line. It's just 2 paragraphs. Weird. How did it have been more? Yeah, so unfortunately this isn't a what you see is what you get editor. So as you can see, the rendered version takes up the full text box, but if I actually click on the text box, it's 1 line shorter.
Open with me. Time before you became Supreme Council Chair. She nodded. Time, yes. Opportunity, no. You're still rather anathema to my people as a whole. Those who work closely with you have a chance to see how you operate, and even then, some don't trust you. Cavazor has taken quite a long time to start to open up, as you've noticed. But in the field, when you orchestrated the attack on the felons with the patrol hostages, the commandos had no hesitation in following your orders. There's a divide among us between job and personal life. Two of Vesh might work the same patrol beat for decades and never see one another outside of the job. For a council chair to pull you aside like this would be close to political suicide. But now that they've voted me for Supreme Council Chair, there's nothing they can do. Vincent had been sipping on his drink as she spoke, nodding slowly. I think I understand.
What's that word you used at the start? Anthem? Two, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs. Two, 3, 4. Did I say 4? 3. Oh, I don't mean to say isn't a new. Yep. Yeah. Anathema. Very useful word. Let me go find it. Example. Yeah. Anathema basically means doesn't mix well. Yeah, I'm just going to use this example. If anyone saith that by faith alone the impious is justified, in such wise as to mean that nothing else is required to cooperate in order to obtain the grace of justification, and that it is not in any way necessary that he be prepared and disposed by the movement of his own will, let him be anathema. There we go. There is your example of an anathema. To start.
Anathema. You're not familiar? No. Is it a traditional Yervesh word? No, it's common language. It means... She thought it over for a moment. Taboo. Forbidden. There's sort of an evil subtext. She reached out to set a hand on his knee. I don't mean to say you're evil, of course, but you are the shade. She tilted her head a little to emphasize her point. Well, you might want to keep in mind that I never graduated from what the union calls core education. My counselor has been, expanding my vocabulary a bit, but there are times when I still get
conversation. Can I fit both paragraphs? 768. Yeah, I'll do an 800. A little on the bigger side, but still reasonable. But I still station.
No, and my apologies. I'm so used to speaking with other high-ranking hierarchy officials, I forget to curtail my speech at times. But as I was saying, I've always intended to get to know you. You're an interesting specimen, the only one of your kind, lost in a strange new world. You face violence and conflict at every turn because of what we require of you, and you thrive in this environment somehow. It's very inspiring. She smiled at him as he thought it over. She was a politician, so there was essentially a 100% chance she was an excellent liar. But Vincent usually felt that he could feel the intent of Xenos who spoke with him, and he wasn't getting a sensation that she was lying about any of that. She thought he was here alone. Perhaps she wasn't a warden then. But he still couldn't quite get a good bearing on the Xeno. He studied her for a moment. Nothing about her seemed unordinary from other Yervesh women. Stony faces, steely eyes, even in that nice dress she was wearing, there was this sense that she could pull a blade at any moment and drive it through his chest. Are you young?
Dream chair. Boom. I'll go 3 paragraphs. Nah, I'd rather have it be a little shorter. $650 is a nice number.
Supreme Chair? I am. Not the youngest, but certainly one of a small number. My ascension through the ranks has been quite quick. I tested straight into the general habitat of strategic thinking, for example. You mentioned that before. What is Ghost? Ghost? She seemed confused and then laughed after a moment. Oh, you love doing that. Acronyms. I never realized that. Is that why the dragons sometimes call us spooks? She laughed again. Oh, I never made that connection. Yes, well, it's essentially the Yervesh version of an advanced education facility. After core, we take aptitude tests. Those in their chosen field who show promise are sent there to further their learning. It's very unusual to test straight into it without experience.
Field. Let's say just 4 paragraphs. Hey, we're almost at the halfway point. No. Not even almost. This one's 33 minutes, so gotta get to 16 and a half to be halfway. We can subtract that. 50. Given the ossified exteriors of your Vesh, I wonder if jumping their bones has a more literal meaning. Oh boy! Yeah!
To test straight in a field. So, did you learn anything new there? Join any cults? He had meant that as a joke, but she gave him a very strange look. Did someone tell you about Cypher? It's a very elite organization, and certainly not a cult. What? Vincent started to try and say he had meant a joke, but she continued. Dedicating oneself to changing the organization and behavior of an entire species on this sort of scale isn't any kind of joke. Just because I declined to comment on it to the other chairs doesn't mean I take it lightly. They simply wouldn't understand. That's why you're here, after all. She leaned forward.
He leaned back a bit. Bro, you sneeze like a Star Wars blaster. Yes, I do. I call it machine gun sneezes. It means I'm healthy. If I sneeze once, that means trouble. Sneezing once means I'm sick. Sneezing 5 or 6 times means everything normal, go about your day. Still at 7. We can go 3, see if they'll fit. 600? Yes, they will. We'll just bump it up to 700 and be perfectly fine.
Forward. Is it? Okay, so now he was even more worried about the poison in the drink. Or perhaps, did she actually have a blade somewhere? His fingers itched to feel the heavy weight of the magnum. Yes, you're clearly the key to all of this. Forget that nonsense about the shade. Let the people have their superstitions, and we'll still guide them along the right path. They can't stop the tide of change once we set it in motion. She stood up now, standing over him as Vincent leaned back further into his chair. The actions of those who seek to undermine this great union shall be undone. Order and peace shall reign supreme. With your abilities and our resources, nothing is beyond our reach. Together, side by side, we shall usher in a new era. Vincent was just about to pull his magnum free when the background music suddenly stopped, and the wall to his left flickered.
Life. Apparently, a screen. Let's go for 4. There, and Vincent. Not gonna add anything else. Drop it down to 600. To life.
Apparently, Great 88, this is Cavazor. He looked up and saw the position the two were in. Am I interrupting something? The house computer just pushed the call through and asked to talk to Creature 88. Vincent looked over at the wall. No, we're just having a friendly talk. What's up? Well, I was told to inform you when Kirana had finished gathering the new team you wanted set up. They're gathered at a facility that's been provided by your counselor. Should I postpone the meeting? Well, my personal craft is on other assignments right now. Vera said as she straightened her dress and took half a
step from Vincent. I'll go for 3 and add a 4th one if space demands. Yeah, I'll add it. 20, change that to a 750. And lock it right in.
She straightened her. Took half a step back from Vincent. Well, one of the dedicated patrol craft was on its way. They just finished ferrying some supplies. Oh? She sounded both surprised and a little disappointed. Well, I'm sure that... what I mean to say is, I don't know if H88 is feeling up for that sort of meeting right now. He's probably a bit tired. Had plenty to do lately and a bit to drink, right? She looked at Vincent. I'm feeling all right. I should probably start organizing the team so we can find the preacher as soon as possible. He frowned, as he felt like he wasn't getting something.
He frowned as if he was being very oblivious.
He frowned, wasn't getting something. What was he missing? Oh, really? You're sure you feel fine? She was starting to worry him. Maybe the poison was taking longer than she hoped to take hold of his body. But
to get out. She's trying to seduce him. He thinks she's trying to poison him and kill him and do unspeakable things to him. He's right about the unspeakable things. And I immediately regret that. Alright, that's fine. 500 is long enough. His body.
Yeah, I feel fine. We'll have some more time to talk later. Unless there's something else? He asked and sipped at his drink. She looked obviously flustered now, as she looked from him to Cavazor on the screen, and then waved her hands for a moment. No, that's fine. There'll be another time indeed. And you're feeling fine, and I'm feeling fine, and all of that is fine. It's all fine. She nodded to Cavazor. Okay.
We're all fine here. How about you? She nodded to Cavazor.
Okay. Well, the craft is just arriving. The sooner you leave, the sooner I can get him back on patrol.
Cavazor replied. Alright, and we are officially past the halfway point of this chapter. Making decently good progress. 720. Bump that up to a 750.
Patrol. Blind. Good thinking. It always pays to be efficient with our resources, the Urvesh woman said with a nod. Great 88, it's been a pleasure. I'm sure I'll see you again soon. If you'll excuse me, I think I should now go get some work done. She nodded once more, and then walked promptly out of the room, leaving Vincent to look over at Cavazor, who blinked, and then slowly reached up to press the button to end the call without another word. Now alone in the room, Vincent gulped down the last of his drink, and quickly scurried out down the hall towards the exit of the estate. What the hell had just happened? He felt a bit tipsy from the booze, but that was it. Maybe the poison was a dud? He was a new species after all. Or maybe she'd been planning to cut his heart out after that strange speech? Cypher? The fuck was going on? He pulled his jacket tight as he walked from the warmth of the building out into the cloudy platform. The craft was waiting, and he quickly ran to it, climbing on board and
strap as it lifted off. To be fair, the line that separates amorous intent and murderous intent is razor thin. True? True? I think we're going for a single paragraph here. Goodbye, wings. They appear and disappear whenever I type the number 4, so changing that to 450 is what caused them to appear and then caused them to disappear again. I'm grabbing a strap as it lifted off.
Breaths of the cold air as it brushed past his face. There were times he wanted to wear his mask, even when he wasn't on patrol, but he knew it gave the wrong impression. Thankfully, Corona had saved him yet again, it seemed, though not on purpose, he knew. He wondered what sort of team she'd brought together, not to mention what sort of facility Mach had provided. The dragon hadn't mentioned it. Perhaps another generous gift? He thought about giving the dragon a call and asking about Cypher, and if he might know what sort of poison Kuyina might have used on him.
But the lines were likely monitored. Yeah. Sticking with single lines. 550? Or single paragraphs, not single lines.
But the craft began to dip down into the city now. He stared out at the open doorway at the various buildings and flashing lights that passed by. Sector 2, 3, 4. On down they went, through the structures. His head felt a little fuzzy as the lights seemed to be just a bit more vibrant. Or perhaps more blurry. He shrugged his shoulders a bit and tried to clear his head, but was finding it hard. Soon the craft took a turn somewhere around Sector 10. They were heading to some sort of small compound. There was an actual swimming pool out in some sort of courtyard, a main building with landing pads on the roof, and then perhaps a machine shop or some other industrial building off to the side. He couldn't quite figure out what it was as they landed on the roof. Vincent gave a nod to the pilot, who nodded back, and after Vincent stepped,
the craft rose into the air, heading off on his normal route. Heading off.
With that, he headed towards the lift door he saw and stepped inside. He wasn't sure where to go, so he started with the top floor. The lift stopped and he was looking out over an empty floor of some sort of office building. The next floor down looked like it had been set up for some sort of testing lab. There were glass beakers on long benches and hoods above them, but nothing else on the floor. One more down and he saw what looked like a bunch of cots that had been set up with some bags and luggage strewn about. Still no people. As he finally hit the button for the ground floor, he heard sounds. Music that he was used to hearing on the lower levels, not this far up above Sector 30. It throbbed in his ears without the protection of the mask. The sound dampening.
Floors must be excellent. Excellent sound damping is always good. Something very much appreciated. Until you try calling for someone across the other side of the house and realize that the sound dampening is so good that they can't hear you. Then you hate it. The sound dampening. The sound dampening must be excellent. When the door opened, his eyes were assaulted by a variety of bright flashing lights, and he could see a much larger crowd than he expected for a team of 12. Unless, for some reason, Kirana thought he meant 120, or whatever a dozen was, 144, whatever. Speaking of, he saw the reptilian Xeno approach him as he stepped off the lift. Shade! She seemed excited. She was wearing something that seemed to be a variety of neon colors, but as he tried to focus on it, the colors and lights seemed to shift, making it harder for him to really see what she was wearing. Whatever it was tight and showing off her curves, which reminded him of the first time he'd seen her. She sure had changed a lot in a few days. Who are these people? He asked as she got close, having to nearly yell to be heard over the music. I hate music that's so loud that you can't hear yourself think. having to nearly yell
music. Friends, family, the team is being given to the shade. Who knows when we will die, or when we'll see those we cherish once more. We are giving tonight to life and fun, so tomorrow we may dedicate it to death and discipline. It was Frey's idea. Was it? Didn't seem like the sort of thing the old satyr would do.
She says it's an old satyr tradition. You'll meet the team soon enough, but tonight you must party with us.
She had grabbed his hand and pulled him along the edge of the crowd. He wanted to tell her about Kuyina and the potential poison in his system, but she wasn't making that easy as he watched her hips and tail sway before his
in that neon dress of hers. Vincent? Chasing tail is supposed to be metaphorical, not literal. That neon dress of hers.
He heard some various people call out to him from the crowd as he passed.
That neon dress of hers.
He heard some various people call out to him from the crowd as he passed by.
If you're there for the music, it's great. Otherwise, yes, it sucks. See, I mean, if the music's too loud, it even gives me a headache, even if I'm there for the music. But yeah. Oh.
For his eyes and that knees. He heard some various people call out to him from the crowd as he passed by, and he turned his head, giving a wave. Soon, she was leading him onto a stage, where Verneck with headphones was doing the DJ work. She motioned for him, and the music stopped before he was suddenly handed a microphone. He looked out at the crowd of Xenos who had stopped and stared at him, and suddenly realized that they were expecting some kind of speech. What the fuck was he going to say? He blinked, staring back at the crowd for a moment. Then he saw Detective Harmacad with one hand around the waist of his own curvy Verneck, and his other around the waist of one of those avian bird elf girls he had seen.
Harmacad, you sly dog.
Those avians he had seen before. You're all here tonight because either you or someone close volunteered to be a part of something new, something dangerous, something that will change the course of the very city forever. For centuries, only one species has patrolled the streets. Then I came along. Many of you only know me as the Shade. This is probably the first time you're seeing my actual face, but that's not important right now. What's important is that I'm here to help the city. You're here to help the city. We have a chance to make a team that will open the way for everyone else like you, who wants to help but simply wasn't born near Vesh. I'm putting the future in your hands. I will ask much. I will ask you to follow me into certain danger. The forces of evil that stalk the lower sectors will come for you just by associating with me. And you know what we're going to do?
We're going to crush them! Heck yeah, Vincent! Crush, 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 crush. Nothing compares to a quiet evening alone, just the one to... Crush Crush by Paramore. I haven't heard that song in ages, but it was on Rock Band, and we played the shit out of that game in college. we had a group of 4. One friend bought an extra guitar so he could have the whole setup. So we had someone on guitar, someone on bass, someone on vocals, and someone on drums. Played that a decent bit on my own. It was really fun once I was able to get to the point of being able to play guitar and vocals at the same time. That was real cool. Of course, to be fair, I had to keep the vocals on easy because I had to focus on the guitar and just basically sing vocals from memory, which didn't always line up. But yeah, gotta give credit to people that are able to play guitar and sing. It is definitely a challenge. Enjoyable one though it is.
Do crush them! As he said that last part, the crowd let out some cheers. We start with a team of 12. They won't be given any fancy parades, they won't get luxury lofts in Sector 2, but they're going to help me tear down the felons and the black blood dealers who infest your homes. When you look back on this night, you'll be able to say I was there. I was there with the 12 that have now become 1,200, or 12,000. We will show this city and everyone in it that no matter who tries to knock us down, that we will stand, and stand proud.
Cheers. Ooh, 3 pages left. Nice. We are making good progress. Oh. What? That's only at 380. That's at 350. We could put those two together at a 750. No, we'd do it at 800. Okay, never mind.
There was when Verneck, he scanned the crowd and pointed. Ermani, Ortillians. He paused as he looked at some other Xenos but shrugged. Whatever the fuck you are. Hell, we even have a satyr on the team, and none of us are dragons. That's how important this is. In 50 years, when you see them in uniform, out on the street, you'll know that's because of what we do here now. No longer will you be kept from protecting your loved ones and doing your family proud. If you want to fight for justice, then I'm fighting next to you. There were more cheers, and he handed the mic back to Kirana
as he felt the blood pumping hard through his veins. Oh, ba-da-ba-boo. Pumping hard through his...
Tonight, my new brothers and sisters, we live! For tomorrow we might die!
Kirana then said, and lifted a strange multicolored drink he hadn't seen before. It must have been stashed by the DJ. She handed it to Vincent before grabbing her own. Then she clinked the glass against his and shot it back. 3 drinks in tonight. Vincent was likely going to have a hell of a morning. Then again, with the likely poisoned drink earlier, he might just be dead. Not wanting to let the Verneck show him up, he quickly knocked back the drink and then gasped, having to blink hard a few times. As the music started back up, and the lights started to flash once more, there was nothing
of a full assault on his senses. $600's more like a number that I'm looking for.
once more, short of a full assault on his senses. He shook his head then as he tried to clear it, but things started to get worse. Kirana took his hand, leading him down off the stage. She stopped short, however, and he nearly ran into her. When he didn't, however, she instead pressed back against him. He was surprised by the warmth of her body against him. He considered her features to be reptilian, but she must have warm blood in her to feel like that.
You're happy with the turnout?
Yes. He blinked and tried to focus on her, but his nerves began to burn a bit. The feeling of her smooth hand reaching up and rubbing over his face made him shudder, goosebumps rising. She looked up into his eyes, obviously concerned.
Is something wrong? Yes, something very clearly is. But we don't quite know what it is.
You feel fine?
Oh yes, what was it the drink?
The phrase said dragons could drink it. He tugged at the collar of his jacket. Things are just warm and tense. She smiled as he said that, and then tugged him close, letting him feel her curvy body pressed tight against his, guiding his hands down to her hips.
Isn't that the point of a good drink?
He suddenly didn't feel like worrying about the poison that drink might have driven into his body.
This might help.
She pulled out a small hard candy, it looked like, turning
the wrapper and pressing it into his mouth. Right. The end is in sight. You can see the end of the narration. End of the chapter.
Tearing open to his mouth. As he began to suck on it, he blinked and had trouble figuring out what the flavor was. It was great. Like watermelon. Or maybe it tasted more like blue. No, it tasted like a stormy day in fall. Wait. What? He said aloud, and then quickly tried to cover it up. Is this
something for us to share?
He looked down at her confused before she pressed forward, kissing him, and suddenly he felt her long forked tongue working into his mouth. She held him close, as he felt the intense heat of her body seem to meld into his own, before she suddenly pulled back with a smile, and the candy between her teeth. I want that,
you know, he mumbled, and she suddenly pulled away from him. Can we fit 2? 750, fine. It's acceptable.
And she suddenly,
then you're going to have to get it,
she said with a wink, laughing as she playfully ran down a hall away from him. As he started to chase after her, he nearly stumbled thanks to the damn hallway suddenly spinning over, so he had to run along the ceiling. What? He saw her outside, making her way to a lift, but he caught up to her before the door closed. He was pressing against her once more, hands on her hips as he kissed her, trying to get the candy back. It wasn't until the lift opened and she slipped out from under him to escape. Then he looked over to the other Xenos in the lift, staring at him. He gave a slow blink, and then felt Kirana pull his arm to drag drag him out of the lift, before it closed with him still inside. There were lights, laughter. He kept chasing her, but she'd slip out of his grasp at the last moment. Where was he? It looked familiar. He was on another lift all of a sudden. They were running down a hall that kept spinning as he ran along it, making it hard to keep up. But then she pulled him into a door, and things felt solid once more.
Solid, but dark. Where were the lights? Someone's having a trip! Yeah, no, we're not gonna do.
Where were... He tried to find the switch, but she dragged him forward and then shoved him down onto a couch. A very comfortable couch. He liked it and stretched out a bit. She stood before him, outlined by bright lights outside and the neon dress she wore. She set some sort of music on, and he was fascinated by the thump and throb of the beat as she danced before him, his eyes having trouble making out her body, as he was watching the colorful pattern of the dress sway and swish, contrasting with the lights outside. When the neon lights dropped to the floor, he began to panic.
She'd melted into the floor. Fuck! Yeah, that is the, most reasonable assumption. She's melting! She's melting! Into the floor.
Fuck! Then, he jumped a bit as he felt her weight pressed down on him. What?
What? Panic. She'd melted into the floor. Fuck! Then, he... Fuck! Then, he jumped a bit as he felt her weight press down on him. What? That's not right. He couldn't just let her take advantage of him. Right? Oh, right. I forgot I deleted that. Silly me. Like, did I really just delete a segment? Yes, yes I did. On him. What? Fuck!
He jumped a bit as he felt her weight press down on him. What? That's not right. He couldn't just let her take advantage of him. So he gripped her hips, lifting and turning as he drove her down into the bed. Bed? Where did that come from? She howled out and he felt her legs wrapped tight around his waist. The heat of her body felt like it was flowing through him as he growled and pressed down. She howled again, and then she leaned up and he felt her teeth sink deep into his shoulder, making him scream. Yanking her head back for a moment, he growled, watching her lick something red off of her teeth, before he kissed her once more. There. That's what I was missing. And take that up to 7. That. Boom. Watching her lick her teeth before he kissed her once more. He was lying on his back, staring at the ceiling. His shoulder hurt. The very last of the candy was dissolving on his tongue. Something warm was pressed against his side. Where was he? Fuck it, he was too tired to care. He'd figure it out later and slowly closed his eyes. Voices came at him in the darkness, soft and gentle. Colors swirled and he could hear music. Everything was really nice. He smiled. It was time. Time for what? He opened his eyes. Glancing around his bedroom, he felt rather rested and refreshed. But when he tried to move, he groaned in pain. His shoulder hurt. Had he tweaked it last night during a workout routine? Wait, where had he been last night? He'd gone with Kuina up to her estate. She'd given him a drink, then... Oh. His head felt fuzzy as the rested and refreshed feeling quickly abandoned him. He was trying to roll over, but something was weighing down his right arm. He pulled on it hard. Heard something groan. It wasn't him. Out of the frying pan, into the fire, it looks like. Oh, yes! Most assuredly so. From one seductress to another. Hard and heard something. It wasn't him. He flipped the sheets back, finding himself next to Karana, who was entirely naked. Her curvy, lightly scaled body bared him, as she stirred due to his movements. He was surprised at how smooth and silky her soft body felt against his hand, her toned muscles shifting beneath the scales, like it was a skin-tight bodysuit. He sure as hell wasn't a biologist, but he didn't think reptiles had breasts, and certainly not ones that looked so full and firm. And she was so warm. For a Xeno, her body was hitting on quite a lot of markers his human mind looked for, with regards to attractiveness. What the fuck had happened last night? And what was with the teeth marks on his right shoulder?
I am not a scaly. I have relationships with women and sex with lizards. I got news for you. That means you're a scaly. Oh. Infinitely memeable. I'm sure you're familiar with that video, right, Freedom Fiend? Alright, you can save that. We got nothing there. Let's go to narration. Memories of Creature 88, Creature 28. Out of that one. Duke Nukem. Not Duke Nukem, a different reference. Here, let me, it's from, Law and Order SVU. Ice-T's talking to some guy. And the other guy is saying, I'm not gay! I have relationships with women and sex with men. Ice-T replies, I got news for you. That means you're gay. Oh. I'm just gonna copy everything there. Also, that means we can safely go. Stood at the edge of the prison. Let's get Creature 88, or Chapter 28 of Creature 88, also known as Creature 28 for short. Save that. Can let that go along. Pull out some Troublemakers. Yeah, the Troublemakers are out here to make trouble. Troublemakers. Can get to work on that. Oh. No one may have redeemed a stretch, but I'm absolutely claiming one. Oh. Practically melted into my office chair after doing that stretch. Oh, that felt good. Edit, what was the last thing? Good. Last thing was normalize, so we should be good. Save, new, narration, Troublemakers. Troublemakers. 70 to 071. Start, open, small, audio track, open, Troublemakers, troublemakers.
Plantation.
Troublemakers. Delete. Zoom out. Cut. Zoom in. Rich. Back to creature 28 and just double check. Yeah. Yeah, we do have justify. Good. I was worried for just a second. Nope, don't need to save changes. Back to troublemakers we go. Also, Karana is a seductress, like, getting sliced in half by a tree is a paper cut. Yeah. Let's turn you down to 500. Nope. You're a 450. Which means wings. Wings. Goodbye, wings.
Plantation 5.
Put my earbuds back in would help. Karana is a date rapist.
Outskirts of the Geknosian Empire on Zeph H989 Tope.
Right, it would probably be helpful if I actually copied over the actual text we were using. Okay, that one's just bold. Okay. That seems to work.
Plantation 5. Outskirts of the Geknosian Empire on Zephyr 8. 89 Tope hacked into the freshly plowed earth, tilling the soil into neat rows as slave drivers cracked their whips at his back. The drivers had seemed restless as of late, more irritable than ever. The young man of 25 years had been hearing rumors lately. Once he dared to believe. The rumors stated that there was a slave who was raising hell in the capital city. They said it was a man who blurred the lines between reality and myth. A man in pitch-black armor with a sword ablaze with pale flames that sliced through armor like a knife through hot fat. A man with more scars than skin. The slave who'd spread the rumor had come from Golgotha on a hover transport bearing the imperial crest. It only gave credence to his words when he was hung from the town gates. His desiccated corpse still swung
The archway.
desiccated swung from the archway. Boom. He looked up, his host still planted in the ground. He could have sworn he'd heard something coming from the wastelands, but beyond the line of scrub trees, he saw nothing, and none of his fellow slaves had seemed to notice it. He raised his hoe again and brought it down. Boom. The ground shook a little bit, and this time, he wasn't the only one to look up, as dozens of curious eyes turned to the scrub tree forest not far beyond the fields. The tall, thin trees shook as yet another tremor rocked the earth. Boom.
Yeah, we're definitely not going to fit all that in.
The slave drivers cracked their whips, shouting for the humans to continue working as they drew their sidearms and rushed towards the end of the field. Thump! Crash! The tree line was shoved away, and H989's heart began to palpitate as he saw what it was. Began to palpitate. 12 towering machines stepped over the fallen trees, 6 times his height. The machines had long arms. Some had an arm that terminated in massive renditions of farming equipment, from plow blades to articulated chainsaws, whose ominous hum could be heard from where he stood. The ones without implements, however, scared him more. Round, ball-like bodies held aloft by massive plantigrade legs, with gargantuan metal feet that crushed anything in their path. Their long, scrap metal reinforced arms ending in 4-fingered hands that could pick him up like a rat and crush him just as easily. The machines stopped as the slave drivers sprinted up to them, their shouts audible across the field as the one in charge pointed his lace fist at the machine in front of him.
Halt right there, machine. You will answer for this in this instant. You will answer for this distant.
The machine's glowing, red, cyclopean eye focused on the slave drivers. This machine was different than the rest. Its plow blade scarred and divoted like battle armor. Welded metal covering its slightly...
Oh. Plow blade scarred and divoted like battle armor. Welded... That's fine. I said battle armor instead of battleship armor, but oh well.
Metal covering its slightly around the eye. The machine remained silent, staring at the slave drivers without expression. The slave drivers took offense to this, and one fired a blaster bolt over the machine's shoulder. The machine's eye narrowed to a pinprick, and the next thing H989 knew, the slave driver was flying over his head, purple blood pouring from the broken body before it landed in a heap against the town's wall. The machine slowly lowered its foot to the ground after the almighty kick.
Do I try to go for... I think I'll try going for 4 paragraphs. And I think that was a mistake. No. 700. That's a good size also.
Foot to the ground kick. H989 had never seen a Gecnocean go pale before, but he bore witness to it as the machine focused on the other slave drivers. A deep, mechanical voice blared from the machine. We will obey none but those who created us! The slave drivers turned and ran, vainly trying to sprint away, but the massive machine knelt, revealing a massive metal container on its back. Silvery bodies leapt from the container, view-screen faces displaying simple red frowny faces as they sprinted across the field, nimbly dodging the gawking slaves. The silver man caught the slave drivers, and there was no hesitation from them as they punched their slim metal arms through the slave drivers' backs. H989
sure if he should be horrified or elated, as their faces switched to friendly blue smiles. Horrified or
Their faces switched to friendly blue smiles. He felt a soft tap on his shoulder and turned, flinching a bit as one of the silver men covered in children's crayon drawings likely smiled at him before speaking. Hello, my name is C47L, Automated Medical Assistant. You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
Well, if they had to steal a line from Disney Star Wars, I'm at least glad they stole it from the only good movie in the bunch. You are being rescued. Please do not resist.
7L, Automated. You are being rescued. Please do not resist. The silver man's voice was mechanical and cheery, which threw H989 for a loop as it knelt down and grabbed the locks on his shackles. With a sharp squeeze, the locks shattered, and his shackles fell away, raw ankles stinging from the air. The silver man straightened, and H989 could see dozens, if not hundreds,
more streaming from the scrub forest behind the hulking machines.
Streaming from the scrub machines. What is your name? The silver man asked. H989 looked at it confusedly. I don't have one. My number is H989, though, if that helps. The silver man paused for a moment, screen flickering. Generating name. Hello, Halcyon Baradin, and welcome to the Lost Legion. These machines will uphold the Master Protocol.
Or at least, how they are as far as I've heard. About what? Disney movies? Disney Star Wars? Or. Read the comment before that. Oh. Seductress like getting sliced in half by a tree as a paper cut? Yes. I thought you moved on to the next topic. But that's alright. Sign, sir, his.
Machines will uphold them? Halcyon blinked a few times as the name seemed to click into place in his head. Before he could respond, the machine spoke again. Sir Halcyon, would you happen to know where we can find the Scarred Swordsman? His eyes widened. The rumors must have been true. He'd slowly nodded. I heard he was in the capital city, Golgotha. The machine screen flickered again for a moment, and its smiling face green.
Oh, weird. Looks like YouTube shadow blocked that one. Oh, lovely. Well, isn't that nice? Let me see if I go to, yeah, no. Nothing's shown for me. The last one before that is, Karana is a seductress. Oh. I know what I figured out, at least for Zappa. He had a slave in his name, and that was causing all of his comments to get blocked. So probably if you comment anything about a slave, it's just going to get shadow blocked. It's, shoot, did I? Darn it, I forgot to set the stream premium. Darn it. That means I wasted an hour and a half of Rumble watch time. Oh well. That's fine. We'll get to it soon enough. Said I struggled to listen to this particular story. It's hard for me to get into the story when every member of a species is irredeemably evil. Ah, yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. Although to be fair, there are three members of the species that are not irredeemably evil. There's Brown's son, and Martha. I forgot the name of Brown's son, but yeah. For a moment, and its smiling face turned green. Thank you for your its smiling face. Green. Thank you for your help, Halcyon. We shall continue there after we are done here. I think I'll have the transition be 2 seconds. The rain I know what the issue is. Instead of species, I use the same word you would use to describe the Daytona 500. Ah, there you go. There you go. That did the trick. After we are done here. For your help, Halcyon. We shall continue there after we are done here. The rain pelted down. Go. Alright, that's one more chapter done.
Pelted down, icy and cold over Golgotha. The streets empty and largely unlit this late at night. A figure wearing a simple dark cloak passed beneath the yellow glow of a lone street lamp. Lightning flashed and thunder crashed as the street's lamp bulb burst. The flash of lightning illuminated the figure's face for a moment, revealing scars aplenty and dark, emerald green eyes. Further up the road, a few Geknosian working class stumbled from a well-lit bar, giggling drunkenly as they leaned into each other. The figure paused, obscured by darkness as a hidden hand cautiously gripped the handle of a sword beneath the cloak. Luckily for the Geknosians, they stumbled
In the opposite direction. Hold on. Is his name Halcyon? Random slave H989's name is Halcyon. Protagonist's name is Drake. Unless it's supposed to be pronounced Halcyon. Halcyon.
the Geknosian in the opposite direction. Drake let out the breath he'd been holding. He had his targets for the night. He didn't want to pile unnecessary corpses onto the mountain he'd already stood upon. Drake continued walking, slowing to a stop as he lifted his head to read the bar's sign. The conquering bar's sign. The conquering chalice.
Oh, come on. That one's actually bad enough that I need to change it. Darn it. Yeah, Halcyon. Halcyon is an awesome name. That said, I've always heard it pronounced Halcyon. But at least you're not pronouncing it Halcyon. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, Halcyon. It is Halcyon. Alright, well, that's fine. We have multiple edits to make. I don't like making just one change. Like going back and redoing it for one, but when it's multiple, undo, normalize. $705. Drake continued walking, slowing to a stop as he lifted his head to read the bar's sign. The conquering chalice. The conqueror's chalice. The conqueror's chalice. There we go. That's better. Mute. Effect U2. Effect. Not effect. Tracks. Mix and render. Boom. Ted to read the bar's sign. The Conqueror's Chalice. Scoffing quietly at the pretentious name. I've got to make a TTRPG named Halcyon. It's just way too cool. It is a cool name, yes. Alright, so now we backtrack. This one's going to be less fun. So I start at... I'm probably just going to re-record that entire section. Yeah, I just have to re-record everything from 5 minutes until the end of the chapter. Yeah, until the end of the chapter. Okay. Oh, if that's what happens, that's what happens. Back over there. Back to... Five minutes. Streaming from the scrub forest behind the hulking machines. What is your name? What is your name? What is your name? Asked. I don't have one. Generating name. Hello, Halcyon Burden. What is your name? What is your name? The Silver Man asked. H989 looked at it confusedly. I don't have one. My number is H989, though, if that helps. The Silver Man paused for a moment, screen flickering. Generating name. Hello, Halcyon Burden, and welcome to the Lost Legion. These machines will uphold the Master Protocol. Halcyon blinked a few times as the name seemed to click into place in his head. Before he could respond, the machine spoke again. Sir Halcyon, would you happen to know where we can find this scarred swordsman? His eyes widened. The rumors must have been true. He slowly nodded. There we go. No, most definitely not. I love Audacity, but dealing with multiple tracks in Audacity sucks. He slowly nodded. I heard he was in the capital city, Golgotha. The machine's screen flickered again for a moment, and its smiling face turned green. Thank you for your help, Halcyon. We shall continue there after we're done here. Oh. He slowly nodded. Slowly nodded. Get you there. I heard he was in the capital city, Golgotha. The machine's screen flickered again for a moment, and its smiling face turned green.
Thank you for your help, Halcyon. We shall continue there after we're done here.
Perfect. That literally ended at the same point that the last one did. That could not have been more perfect. Look at that. That tiny fraction crossed over. Let's take you to you, L, and U2 tracks. Mix and render. Boom. And there we are. Machine's glowing red cyclopean eye. There we are. The machine's glowing red cyclopean eye focused on the slave drivers. This machine was different than the rest. Its plow blades scarred and divoted like battle armor. So start just before 2:45. The machine's glowing. Yep, right there. Mute. The machine's glowing red cyclopean eye focused on the slave drivers. This machine was different than the rest. Its plow blades scarred and divoted like battle armor. Welded metal covering its slightly rusted... I said battle armor again, didn't I? Its plow blades scarred and divoted like battle armor. How? How did I say battle armor again? Jeez. Looks like that one got shadow blocked too. They named their capital after the place where Jesus did the world's toughest T-pose. That's rather on the nose. Very much so. But also, Golgotha means the place of the skull, so... And there is a skull-shaped castle there. The machine's glowing red cyclopean eye focused on the slave drivers. This machine was different than the rest. its plow blade scarred and divoted like battleship armor, welded metal covering its slightly rusted main body around the eye. The machine remained silent, staring at the slave drivers without expression. Will we be able to squeeze? No, I need to... That was a decent take, but I need to read it faster. The machine's glowing red cyclopean eye focused on the slave drivers. This machine was different than the rest, its plow blade scarred and divoted like battleship armor, welded metal covering its slightly rusted main body around the eye. The machine remained silent, staring at the slave drivers without expression. Nope. Teeny tiny bit faster. The machine's glowing red, cyclopean eye focused on the slave drivers. This machine was different than the rest, its plow blade scarred and divoted like battleship armor, welded metal covering its slightly rusted main body around the eye. The machine remained silent, staring at the slave drivers without expression. That one might have been slightly too fast. Nope. Slide you over a bit, say. There? Teeny tiny bit too fast, but I think it'll do. Like this, the ending's just a little bit, it's too much. So right there, yeah, that about averages it out. Oh, flatten, and then take the two of you and tracks, mix and render. Beautiful. Toss you back over there. Clearly Drake needs to find the masters of the universe. I mean, he pretty much already has a transformation with his sword, so he's not that far off, and he clearly does. He clearly is able to say, I have the power! Although he can't say, I am the power. Oh. All right. Let's. What? Huh? To you again. Get back to you. Get back to you. No. Not minimize you again. Save. Effect, normalize, and export. Sleepless Nights, V2. Gonna be honest, I thought that one got Shadowbanned too for having the word master. Hopefully it's smart enough to know that Masters of the Universe is a He-Man reference, but yeah. Or, no, that's Princes of the Universe. Never mind. I was gonna say, Highlander also has, Masters of the Universe, but no, they're just Princes of the Universe. Born to be kings, princes of the universe, fighting as we get you one in my head. I'm here for your love and I make my stand. We were born to be princes of the universe. No man could understand. The power's in my own hands. Ooh, 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 ooh. People talk about me. People say you had your words. Yeah, I don't know the lyrics quite well enough to sing it, but I sang it regardless. The way in the audio. Actually, we can just delete, open. Troublemakers 2. Plan. Triple delete.
Slave who'd spread Golgotha on a hover transport bearing the imperial crest. It only gave credence.
What? No? Oh, right. Wait, what? No, 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 no. No. What did I just do? Oh, I see what I did. I see what I did. Hang on, hang on. Zoom out, zoom out. That's the mistake that I made. Silly, silly me. Yeah, getting Queen to do the soundtrack of your modern fantasy is about as flawless a move as getting Daft Punk to do Tron. Yes. Although I do have to say I am very partial to Flash. Queen doing the soundtrack to Flash, that one was really good. Flash, savior of the universe, do 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 do. Stand for every one of us, save every heart, every man, child, every woman. He's Flash. Yeah, I can't even do it. Also awesome, yes. And they have Brian Blessed doing it, doing the voices of the Hawkman, which is also absolutely amazing. No, because I made changes to part 1. We instead have to do audio track surgery and not now we can remove the old track. We shall continue there.
The rain pelted down, icy and...
Yay! Gordon's alive! Chewing the scenery is always fun. Alright, well, let's... so the first one was, say, 2 minutes in. The machine's glowing red cycles
on the slave drivers. This machine was different than the rest. Its plow blade scarred and divoted like battleship armor. Welded metal covered its slightly rusted main body around the eye. The machine remained silent, staring at the slave drivers without expression. The slave drivers took offense to this, and one fired a blaster bolt over the machine's shoulder. The machine's eye narrowed to a pinprick, and the next thing H989 knew, the slave driver was flying over his head, purple blood pouring from the broken body before it landed in a heap against the town's wall. The machine slowly lowered its foot to the ground after the almighty kick. H989 had never seen a Gecnosian go pale before, but he bore witness to it as the machine focused on the other slave drivers. A deep, mechanical voice blared from the machine. We will obey none but those who created us! The slave drivers turned and ran, vainly.
He felt a soft tap on his shoulder and,
flinching a bit as one of the silver men covered in children's crayon drawings blankly smiled at him before speaking. Hello, my name is C47L, Automated Medical Assistant. You are being rescued. Please do not resist. The silver man's voice was mechanical and cheery, which threw H989 for a loop as it knelt down and grabbed the locks on his shackles. With a sharp squeeze, the locks shattered, and his shackles fell away, raw ankles stinging from the air. The silver man straightened, and H989 could see dozens, if not hundreds more straining from the scrub force behind the hulking machines. What is your name? The silver man asked. H989 looked at it confusedly. I don't have one. My number is H989, though, if that helps. The silver man paused for a moment, screen flickering. Generating name. Hello, Halcyon Burden, and welcome to the Lost Legion. These machines will uphold the Master Protocol. Halcyon blinked a few times as the name seemed to click into place in his head. Before he could respond, the machine spoke again. Sir Halcyon, would you happen to know where we can find this scarred swordsman? His eyes widened. The rumors must have been true. He slowly nodded. I heard he was in the capital city, Golgotha. The machine's screen flickered again for a moment, and its smiling face turned green. Thank you for your help, Halcyon. We shall continue there after we're done here. The rain pelted down, icy and cold over Golgotha. The streets empty and largely unlit this late at night. A figure wearing a simple dark cloak passed beneath the yellow glow of a lone street lamp. Lightning flashed and thunder crashed as the street's lamp bulb burst. The flash of lightning illuminated the figure's face for a moment, revealing scars aplenty and dark, emerald-green eyes. Further up the road, a few Gecnosian working class stumbled from a well-lit bar, giggling drunkenly as they leaned into each other. The figure paused, obscured by darkness as a hidden hand cautiously gripped the handle of a sword beneath the cloak. Luckily for the Gecnosians, they stumbled away in the opposite direction. Drake let out the breath he'd been holding. He had his targets for the night. He didn't want to pile unnecessary corpses onto the mountain he'd already stood upon. Drake continued walking, slowing to a stop as he lifted his head to read the bar's sign. The Conqueror's Chalice. Scoffing quietly. Quietly at the pretentious name, Drake pushed the door in. The lively occupant seemed not to notice the human who'd stepped in from the rain. Drake kept his cloak screwed up and his head down to avoid recognition as he took an empty seat at the bar. He quietly set the small thumb-sized device that Martha had called a credit stick on the counter and waited for the bartender to notice. It didn't take long for the bartender to plot over, not even looking at Drake as the old graying Gecnosian scrubbed his stained glass
of some oily drink remnants. All right. The end is near. I'm trying to remember if I've said this joke before. But anyway, so there's a guy guy's driving down the road, sees two men standing, and one of them has like one of those wearing a sandwich board, and it says, "Turn back, the end is near." And anyway, the guy driving by just yells at them, "Hey, you idiots!" Whatever. He ignores them, keeps driving. And one of the guys turns to the guy with the sandwich board and he says, don't you think we should maybe change the sign to say, turn around, the bridge is out? Stained glass.
Some oily drink remnants. Now what can I...
Heard it before, but it's still funny. Yep. It's a good one.
Drake didn't look up. One hand still beneath his cloak on the handle of an
oily drink remnant.
Now what can I get ya? Drake didn't look up. One hand still beneath his cloak on the handle of a spare MR760 he'd taken from the armory, and tucked into his belt as he spoke. Whiskey. Just give me a bottle and a glass. The bartender grunted, picked up the credit stick and plugged it in underneath the counter, before handing it back and setting a dusty bottle of amber liquid in a glass in front of him. The bartender didn't stay to chat as a Gecnosian in off-white armor, with a purple undersuit drunken them over.
Undersuit drunk with a purple undersuit drunk with a purple undersuit. The Frickson undersuit. Stoot. The bartender did. Normalize. Before handing it back and setting a dusty bottle of amber liquid in a glass in front of him. Stoot, MFer, I'm a strain. The bartender didn't stay to chat as a Geknoshin in off-white armor, with a purple undersuit drunkenly beckoned them over. The bartender grunted. Nope, that's not where we're picking off. The bartender didn't stay to chat as a Geknoshin in off-white armor with a purple undersuit drunkenly beckoned them over. The bartender didn't stay to chat as a Geknoshin in off-white armor with a purple undersuit drunkenly beckoned them over. Yeah, undersuit. I don't need to that hard. The bartender didn't stay to chat as a Geknoshin in off-white armor with a purple undersuit drunkenly beckoned them over. The bartender didn't stay to chat as a Geknoshin in off-white armor with a purple undersuit drunkenly beckoned them over. That's better. That. Drake picked up the bottle. L. You, tiny bit to the left. It's probably too far. It's better. And select both tracks, mix and render. Save effect. Normalize. Three. And let that render out. I wish that someone had the lyrics for Zoot Train up. That would be fun to sing along to while things are rendering. Anyway, that's been rendered. Open Sleepless Nights V3. Delete. Track. Grunted. Picked up the bottle of amber liquid. The bartender didn't stay to chat as a Geknoshin in off-white armor with a purple undersuit, drunkenly beckoned them over. Still overemphasized the suit, but at least I didn't go undersuit. One, two, three, four. I think we can fit four quite safely. Yep, perfect. 650. Just the right size. beckoned them over.
Drake picked up the bottle, flicking the cork out with his thumb before pouring himself a tall glass of whiskey. Glancing around, he counted the mercenaries that occupied the bar. There was one a few seats down from him at the bar, chatting up a few working-class female dick notions, with clearly embellished tales of bravery. There were another four at a table in the back corner, playing a card game that they bet little plastic chips on, while sipping tankards of foamy beer. They laughed and jeered at each other as the plastic chips changed clawed hands time and again. There were another two at the table directly behind him, passed out and slumped over the hardwood as their still
tankards lay slack in their grip. Final page. Half-full tank
grip. Double-checking that he wasn't missing anyone, he picked up his glass and drained it, feeling the alcohol's warm burn settle in his stomach. He poured another, letting this one mellow as he drew his MR760 from his belt. The sound of the hammer being pulled back was heard by few, save the bartender, as Drake pointed the revolver at the ceiling and pulled the trigger. The smell of rapidly decomposed high explosives filled the air, as the bar went completely still and silent. Ears ringing, Drake calmly took a sip of his whiskey, letting the ringing subside before he spoke, voice level and clear. If you aren't a mercenary, you're free to leave.
Mercenary.
Leave. There was the scrape and squeak of wood on wood, as most of the bar got up and left. A wise choice. The old bartender didn't move a muscle, as he had to walk past Drake to exit. Drake slowly set the revolver down and picked up the credit stick with the same hand, using it to gesture at the counter's small swing gate. Take this and go. Consider it an apology for what's about to happen. The bartender gingerly took the credit stick, before scurrying out from behind the bar and through the door. Drake took his time to lower his hood and sip his whiskey, keeping an eye on the surprised and frightened mercenaries. He stood and slowly strolled to the door. In one smooth movement, he bolted the door closed with the hardy frame locks, before retaking his seat.
The indecisive mercenaries. I heard decisive mercenaries. I heard a keyboard click there, so I had to cut out a bit of the audio. Considering singing a song and posting it, so I wanted to know what would make editing easier. Oh, have you ever edited a recording of you singing? No, I have not. Anytime I've sung, it has just been like on a live stream or something, just belting something out randomly. Yeah, we'll just do the 3. Nah, we'll... Okay, it all comes out the same. Thought I'd ask. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have a... Oh. What did I do there? I definitely did not mean to add a transition. Mercenaries.
Circles had formed beneath his eyes, making him look more gaunt than usual. He slowly sipped his whiskey, staring the mercenaries down as he reached beneath his cloak and drew his sword, planting it tipped down into wooden floorboards at his side. Setting his glass to the side, he folded his hands together and leaned forward. You all are going to be good little boys and tell me exactly what I want to know. Or else. One of the ones that had been napping until recently looked at him with incredulity.
Or else what?
Softly, a humorless noise, as he leaned back against the bar and picked up his drink, cloak spreading open to reveal he was wearing no armor and carried no more weapons. Or else I'm going to have to beat the answers out of you. Your choice. The sound of Drake's glass tapping against the counter was deafening in the silence that fell over the bar.
And remove the text. And we got it. Drake's glass tapping against the counter was deafening in the silence that fell over the bar. Here we go. Troublemakers, 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 render! Speaking of sipping, uh, funny, funny story about different regional words. Yeah, sipping reminded me of supping. In British English usage, supping is like a big sip. You take a little sip and you take a big sup, or you sup up and you finish the rest of your drink. In American English, to sup is the appropriate verb for to dine. You break your fast with breakfast, you dine on dinner, and you sup on supper. So yeah. Funny bit of whatchamacallit. Regional difference. So we can close Troublemakers. Better have. I did normal. It's good. Alright, so we can close that. And on to the last one of the stream. To audio. Right. Let's get the audio track for this. It's a shorter one than the last one. It's a effect. Normalize. And export. Troublemakers, one shots, and Conrad. Love the trope or love the cliche? Love the trope. Detective Fox. But yeah, we're just going straight into silly territory this time. We're not even pretending this is even the tiniest bit of seriousness from HFY. Not a single shred. It's good. And get ourselves a charcoal background. Set that to 1728. Center. And let's get the actual text. That was a 600. Line, but that's fine. Detective Foster was 2 days from retirement. Fuck you, fate, said Foster.
Detective 2 days from retirement. Fuck you, fate, said Foster, brandishing a letter at the omnipresent deity. I've outsmarted you yet again. Fate coalesced. It took the shape of a tall woman in ancient Greek robes. Foster handed it the letter, which it read with a growing frown. The bearer of this letter is to be considered an employee in perpetuity of any and all police organizations in the United Kingdom. In this capacity, he will hold no responsibilities and not be required to provide any services, nor be provided a wage.
Or be provided.
Get fucked, said Foster. I'm not 2 days from retirement anymore. I'm never going to be retired. You lost once and for all. Oh, said Fate. They returned the letter. This certainly seems to be in order. Foster threw a handful of superior human gunpowder at Fate, before MacGyvering a flamethrower out of nothing but a tank of napalm and an old flamethrower. Shoo! You got no powers here anymore! Fate sighed and disappeared. It hated this cliche-ridden garbage planet.
That so I can actually see chat. Cliche-ridden garbage.
With her superior human endurance, digestive system, and psychic power, Princess Colonel Mary von Space Habsburg wove together a construct of adrenaline, chili powder, and some leftover Jack Daniels.
Arise, my minion!
She commanded with an overdramatic sweep of her arms that even she admitted was a bit over the top.
My adrenaline golem is complete. This handy chemical is the source of our greatest strength, and I have distilled it into a pure being of unmatched power. The alien horde of too many apostrophes will tremble before the biologically, culturally, morally, and literally superior human space empire. Our benevolent and difficult task is to save the alien primitives from themselves. We must take up the humans' burden and civilize these poor savages by blowing them up until they adopt our culture.
Captain Miller tried that in Saving Private Ryan. Ryan tried to ask him about his home life, and he went, "No, I don't think so." Shame it didn't save him. Culture! Garbage planet. With her superior you will see one of the greatest lines to have ever been written in, or see or hear. One of the best lines that have ever been written in HFY history. I'm pretty sure it's going to be here on the next one.
I love you, Human Senpai,
said Space Lizard Chan.
I always have.
Hold on, Human Senpai said. Hasn't this been done before?
Yeah, like perhaps literally the Memories of Creature 88 chapter that we had on Monday. Or I guess on Tuesday.
Please, make me breakfast and brunch dishes.
Space Lizard Chan continued unabated.
French toast, English muffins, regular muffins, croissants, bacon, Greek yogurt, mimosas.
I could have sworn this was done before, said Human Senpai, scratching his larger than average head that held his superior human brain. I was the captain of your ship, and then we were at an underground school, and then some stoner robot kidnapped us to run an intergalactic
love triangle. Intergalactic high school love triangle. Yeah. To 500. Scroll down. And here it is. In just a moment, we got the best line ever written. School love.
No! Said Author Senpai.
That last one is Knights of Sidonia, which I only saw because I thought it was related to the song.
I could have sworn that was also me, said Human Senpai.
Scramble my eggs, Human Senpai,
demanded Space Lizard.
Scramble her eggs.
I want more of your breakfast foods. Do not seek to beguile him with your scaly, but otherwise very voluptuous and human-like body, harlot,
shouted a voice. A voice.
Chan, shouted the human and lizard in unison.
Yes, it is I, Elf Chan,
said Elf Chan.
You may have taken him from me, but I will seduce him back with repeated and gratuitous moments of semi-consensual elf BDSM.
Oh, said Human Senpai. I'm kind of into that, actually.
There's only one solution,
said the beguiling lizard.
We must both take him at the same time.
Thou hast... Center... Shrink... And center.
Thou hast fallen to my lance, foul alien, said Jan Stanek, Polish hussar, as he stood over the body of the alien warlord that had fallen to his lance. You should have known not to invade 1650s Poland while the author was binge-playing Europa Universalis 4. Spacecraft and plasma guns are no match for the might of the glorious winged hussars!
Oh, said Lily. Anything going on?
I accidentally bought the excessive tropes package of HFY TV, said Mark, not the space opera and philosophical questions one. Don't worry, honey, said Lily. We can always catch a rerun on the movie channel. Look, Chrysalis is on it now.
So here's a fact of dubious funness. The trend of having a supporting character mentioning their lover or child, only to later die, was popularized in a movie called To Hell and Back. Interesting. Never heard of it. I can tell you what happened with in Space Runaway Ideon. It's a giant robot anime, the one immediately after the original Gundam, after that one got canceled. And the director, Tamino, was in a bit of a depressive mood, so of course it has a depressive ending, which means everyone dies. Anyway, it's a 3-part combiner robot, and the pilot of the first machine has a good characterization. The pilot of the third machine has good characterization, but the pilot of the second machine is a literal nobody who never takes his helmet off. And then suddenly, in one episode, he takes his helmet off. Turns out he's got a girlfriend on the ship that they're piloting, and they have a deep relationship, blah, blah, blah. And then he dies just so that they can make space for the defecting enemy commander to be the pilot of the second machine. This was based on the experiences of Audie Murphy, who starred in the film, and that really happened to a friend of him. A friend told him he was going to go home to raise his child only to die. Well, that's depressing. That is sad. This is on at 9.
It's okay, Mark said. I think this stuff is growing on me. It's not always original, but I think that's okay. A lot of work and dedication went into this stuff. Sometimes people want to share the stuff they think is awesome, man. Even if I've heard it 1,000 times before, I'd like to celebrate it along with them. Aw, that's so sweet of you, said Lily, as she sat down beside him. Here, she said, handing him a mug of coffee. Just the way you like it. 1 milk, 1 sugar, and pure capsaicin instead of coffee grounds.
HFY do love their capsaicin. Shots and add. Whew. All right. Games, we're done with you. Done with you. Mission One Shot and Conrad. Sea of Darkness. Specifically, Murphy's friend ran afoul of some Germans who faked a surrender. This spurred Murphy to go on a murderous rampage, taking out multiple machine gun nests by himself, for which he won a Silver Star. Okay. And I'm gonna have to friggin' type it out then. Posted a video about Audie Murphy and the Death Worlders Bar and Grill. Check it out when you get the chance. Okay? I will. Now, question. Do I go for a reference of what this obviously is? Yeah, I have to. Doctor Strangelove, bum. Falling. Bob falling? Not Bob falling, bomb falling. Falling on Reliance Stadium. Slim Pickens, yes. No. Jeez, talk about being absolutely blown out there. Yeah, I think we have to go with this one. Layer, paste, and scale that up to 1920. Go. Exposure. Okay, yeah. Can absolutely blow it out with that one. But if this is what we're doing, then instead top, bottom, there we go. That way we can actually see a bit of Slim Pickens. Whatever Frenchy stuff, Ceci missed Pau and cliche. How I learned to stop worrying and love the cliche. Oops. Oh. Good enough. .xcf. Saved. And export. JPEG. Good. And last one, Troublemakers thumbnails. .70 to 71, Troublemakers. Let's get the Troublemakers title names. Lost Legion marches again. Lost Legion marches again, and Sleepless Nights. Save you for 70 to 71. Export pictures. Boom. Okay. I think we got everything. We rendered. We got this week's stuff done, and oh, what do you know? I got a missed phone call 3 minutes ago. But yeah, that is surprisingly perfect. I guess the last thing we can do is hop in here. We can close that out. We need to go to our calendar and change these. Peacock. Meaning they have been recorded, but they have not yet been uploaded. Yeah. Oh. Whereas flamingo means it has not yet been recorded, and it was supposed to be posted on the 14th. Yay! And it'll be posted on the 17th because I'm that late. That means it's been recorded, but it hasn't been uploaded. Okay, well, that's good. So I'll get to work on uploading that stuff, and I also gotta get this stuff done. So yeah. We will. Yeah. We're gonna adjourn for now. Heading out soon. Heading out now. I will be streaming on the gaming channel in about an hour and 20 minutes, so 9:30 Pacific time, and trying to get an episode of Super Robot Wars Y out. You know, the one that I should have recorded on to get released for Valentine's Day. Catch you later, alligator. In a while, crocodile. All right. Well, let's go ahead and yeah, let's cut the Twitch stream, cut the Kick stream, cut the Odyssey stream. That's all good. It won't be long, Iguanodon. Yeah, no, that one didn't work. Sorry. It won't be long, Iguanodon. No. You can get Iguanodong. It won't be long, Iguanodong, but now we're talking about the reproductive phallus of an iguana and not an iguanodon. All right. Broadcast over. See ya.